Dear Zimbabweans, I need some help. I am genuinely concerned, confused, and conflicted. Now, the issues I'm going to raise in this video are purely me trying to understand things better, because obviously I don't know much about a lot of things. Secondly, I've only been here almost 2 years, so I've been away for a very, very long time, and a lot of things have changed. So maybe the way I see things are wrong, or maybe I make a lot of assumptions, but this is more of a discussion. And please, let's keep it as a discussion and not have a lot of insults. I genuinely want to try and understand some of the things that are happening or that happen in this country. So first of all, I want to start off by saying, I love Zimbabwe. That's my identity. This is my country. And wherever I go, that's my identity. And there's nothing I can do about it. So, being someone who loves their country, why is it sometimes when something positive is mentioned about Zimbabwe, it's followed by something negative? And I'll give you an example. If I say, oh, wow, the roads are developing very well in Zimbabwe, they're resurfacing, they're looking so good, it's followed by, have you gone to Mufakose? Have you gone to Mbare? It's almost like we have to cancel out all the positive that is happening. Why is that? And the opposite also works. If I were to come here and start talking about the negative stuff, the things, the problems, I may also be seen as a foreign agent. Why is that? I feel like we have gagging orders on both sides. So that to me is very confusing. Anyway, I'll wait to hear the results there. I mean, in the comments box. Secondly, I am also confused by a few things. I hear that the economy is bad in this country, but there's certain things that are happening which are telling me a different story. For example, if the economy was really bad, why is it there's no food shortages? Why is it there's a lot of development happening in this country? Why is it there's no crazy inflation? Because these are the sort of things that work hand in hand with a bad economy. As a matter of fact, when I came 2 years ago, I really wanted to move back here with my children. But when we started looking for places in schools, because I wanted specifically private schools, there were long waiting lists. We could not get them places to go to school, which I find very surprising. How are people able to afford these school fees if they're so high? We're talking about 4,000, 3,000 per term. And my other concern is all these thousands of children graduating or finishing school every single year. Where are they going to end up? Because there's no jobs. There's no jobs. Where are they going to go? Are we not producing a lot of high quality educated children, but with a dead end? Again, that's a question that I find very confusing. Also, if we talk about sanctions, for example, there is also conflicting views. Some say there are no sanctions, some say there are sanctions. So which is which? Isn't this supposed to be something that's clear-cut? I don't understand. Now, I'll tell you my own experience. When I came over here, as you know, I mean, I always talk about this, I have an online business. So the first thing I did was to get connected online, which I was able to. So I have a permanent line for my internet connection because I work online most of the time. So as normal, I thought, you know what, let me use my services that I use for my online business, i.e. the services where I can do bulk email sending. And these are services which, I mean, I don't think about when I'm in the UK because they just work. I was shocked and very surprised that my services could not work. So at first I thought maybe it was something to do with the internet connection itself, but apparently it wasn't. As a matter of fact, when I couldn't go through, I realized that this is blocked by IP address. So then I dropped the company an email and said, hey, I realized that I can't get access to my email accounts for sending my bulk emails. Do you know what is going on? And they said, look, we've just looked at your location. It looks like you are trying to access our services from Zimbabwe. Therefore, we're not doing any business with Zimbabwe. And I was shocked because this is a service, a basic IT service. But to my surprise, I was not able to use that service because I was in Zimbabwe. So basically, they just said, we're not doing business with Zimbabwe. I mean, I tried to discuss more about it to try and understand how it got to that position. But obviously, they just said, look, this is all we can say to you. And that's pretty much it. And this is why sometimes it's quite difficult for me personally to do some of my business here, because some of the services that I use, I can't access them because a lot of these countries are not doing business with Zimbabwe. I'm not saying that this equals sanctions, but I'm just saying this is my personal experience that I experienced when I tried to use some of these online services. Now, a lot of the things that I talk about here, I would say maybe representing one group of people. Someone had to remind me, because sometimes when you have passion about something, you tend to go on and you tend to live in your own bubble. Okay? And that's me to a degree, because the way I look at it is I always talk about my experiences and I expect someone to react and act according to how I've done things. And sometimes that's not a good way of looking at things. And apparently one guy in the comments, if I recall, highlighted something that really shook me. And he didn't say a lot of words. He's just said, look, you are speaking from a position of privilege. And I was like, wow. I started thinking about it, and I realized that there was a degree of truth in it. Why am I saying this? I may talk about, let's develop, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that in this country. Am I really compared to someone who grew up in the rural areas, who did not go to a Group A school? I went to Belvedere Primary School. I went to Prince Edward as my high school. Am I really like that person? No. Will my message resonate with that person? Absolutely not. So I'm actually cautious now in how I speak, because I cannot speak as if I'm speaking for everyone as a result of that. With that said, there's also people that are privileged but are not taking advantage of their privilege. I can tell you right now, there are people who went to private schools, had a good upbringing, had all those things, but they're still complaining. Yet they have all those opportunities. I guess maybe these are the people that I have issues with. Not like personal issues, but yeah, I'm saying to those people, why can't you take advantage of, your situation? And that, to me, it really bothers me a lot. Because if you're in that privileged position and you're complaining so much, yet you have an unfair advantage, then it's not fair. I'd rather have someone who says, look, I grew up as an orphan. I grew up somewhere there in Mutoko. I didn't have access to school, no access to so many things, and this is my situation. I can tend to resonate with that person and empathize with that person, because they had nothing. But when you have, in fact, you know what? Sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. I know I'm going in a bit of a rant here, but can you imagine? We live in a world where English is one of the most popular languages. If you're fluent in English, you have access to the internet, you went to good schools. Already, you can navigate the internet and perhaps even use a computer. Already you have a winning advantage, because there are so many things now that can be done, research, businesses, and so on, that can be done online. But if you have these opportunities and you don't use them and all you're doing is complaining, then we have a very big problem. Now let's move on to the next thing that is really bothering me. Not bothering me per se, but which I find very weird. And that is, I know that there's certain areas where the government can improve. We know that. So my question is, if those things are not being improved, what should we do? Should we sit back, relax, and just say, well, the government is supposed to do it, so none of my problem? Or can we try and do certain things as a community to try and make things work? For example, let's say we have a massive diaspora community, right? I may be wrong. Maybe I'm not in touch with reality. But I don't really see any group initiatives to achieve certain results. And I'm just giving you a quick example here. Let's say you live in an area where there's no water. A borehole costs, let's say at the most, $2,000 US. Are you telling me that the whole community would rather go thirsty, no water, and not just get about 10 people to put their money together to drill a borehole? Is that impossible? Why do we leave everything for the government if whatever we're going to do as a group is going to help us achieve the same goal? If I'm living in a small community and we all come together to drill a borehole and make it a community borehole, what's wrong with that? It's benefiting us. Because sometimes we may wait, and this is my fear, and this is why I'm not really into politics, okay? You find that I try to keep away from politics because when it comes to politics, things won't happen when you want. And this is why people get frustrated. I may want a borehole now. I may want good roads now. I may want this thing now. But it may come after 10 years. And in those 10 years, I'm living in a very miserable life. Is that something really that I want to do? Absolutely not. But obviously, roads cannot be fixed on a community base. I'm just giving a few examples here of certain things that can be done on a community level and some things that can be done, you know, obviously by the government. But those that we can do as a community, I think we can try and make those things happen. But why is it there isn't really initiatives out there which are community-based, which are fueled by working together? I haven't seen any. Maybe if there are, please let me know in the comments box below. I am one of those people that visualize, let's say, the diaspora community. We could have so many things happen in this country which can develop and come to such an amazing stage if we worked in groups or if we work together. For example, can you imagine, let's say we create a group, 10 people, 20 people, and we say we want to do a goat project. We get a farm, everyone puts in $300. Now, that $300, it goes to buy the what? The goats. And $300 is 10 goats, right? 10 goats. 10 goats each. In a couple of years, we're going to have so many goats because goats give birth, from what I hear, 2 times per year. This doesn't require a lot of labor. This doesn't require a lot of energy because all we do is invest and then you find someone to take care of the whole project. Before you know it, did you know that we could be exporting goat meat? Yes. But working as a what? As a massive community, as in a collaborative way. We can achieve that. Why do we have to wait or not do anything at all to a point where we get learned helplessness? Because I'm one of those guys who believes that sometimes if we can't make things happen, we just have to try and make things happen. We can't wait for someone else to, because this, the famous saying I say to my kids is, if you want to be in shape, you can't let someone else do push-ups for you. And I think Zimbabwe, we're in a very unique position because we have highly educated people. And there's also a lot of money coming into Zimbabwe from the diaspora. We're talking about over $1 billion. That's a lot of money every year. But what's being done on the ground, really? Projects where they're life-changing. We talk about employment. Remember the guy that I was saying to you perhaps lives in Mutoko there? Let's say we have a farm close to Mutoko. It's producing 1,000 goats. It's going to create employment on a reasonable scale from the local community. We're going to need people that herd these goats. If there's an abattoir, we need all the processing. If there's someone who's done animal, who has qualifications in taking care of animals, that guy's going to be employed. Now, do you know the knock-on effect? He's going to have his own kids, which he's going to take to school because of what we've started. And then the chain goes on. And now these projects, remember, there's thousands of people, millions in the diaspora, right? Imagine each and every one of us are having these little projects happening across the whole country. This could be a movement that is helping the community, helping us, and helping everyone. So my point in saying all this is, instead of complaining, what are we doing? Again, it's a question. If there's things that are happening, I would like to know. I'm not accusing anyone of not doing anything. I would like to know these things that are happening because I don't know everything. I may be living in my own bubble. This is just goats. Can you imagine going into beef? Can you imagine going into chickens? Can you imagine going into fruits, vegetables? It's amazing how we can change things. Now, I'm an aspiring farmer, and I've made it very clear here that sometimes if you try to go into this thing on your own, it will take time, and it is almost difficult to get to the finish line earlier. Because what we find now is a lot of people, and these are now my views. I need to put a disclaimer here, okay? These are now my views. Yes, a lot of land has been taken from the white farmers for whatever reasons. I'm not going to go into that. For those people that were given these big farms, I can almost guarantee you they cannot make these farms productive, a lot of them, because the inputs and what's needed for this farm to work is a lot of money. Hundreds of thousands, maybe going into millions, because we're talking about big farms. How is someone who is just given a piece of land going to be able to develop that? Are these guys financially strong? No. And secondly, the other problem we have, again, I may be naive here, but from what I see, I don't see the banks giving out as many loans as they would, because you have to give it the loans based on your assets as what's the word? You know the word. Anyway, you need to borrow the money against your assets, okay? As a guarantee for the bank. But anyway, very few people are willing to do that. So now we're going to be left with a situation where the farms are there, but they're being underutilized. So my question is, as the diaspora community sending billions every year, why are we not utilizing these opportunities? Why can't groups of people with money, like serious money, and there are a lot of people in the diaspora with money, why can't a few people here work together? Is there something wrong with us Zimbabweans that we can't work together? Because right now, from what I see on the ground, I see a lot of individualism. That's what I see. Again, I may be wrong. Please point me out to any of these community-based things that are happening in a collaborative way. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. So I see a lot of individualism. I see a lot of people trying to rise by themselves. And trust me, this is very short-lived. If we want to build this wealth, it has to be wealth that is good enough to go past 2 generations, 3 generations, and you can't do it on your own. We are I would say probably at the most 2nd generation, but we are pretty much 1st generation. None of us really have a lot of money right now. And what we equate to money right now is material things. That's not money. We're talking about assets. So that's my biggest question. Can we not work together as Zimbabweans to produce certain things? I don't know. So those are my questions. I'll be very interested to see the results, or at least the discussions in the comments box, because I'm genuinely confused. And yeah, everywhere and everyone you want to talk to, it ends up being political. But sometimes it doesn't have to. Why does it have to be political? So let me know in the comments box below. And talking about our community, guys, go to ruwaorganic.com. I'm trying to create an online community for people in the diaspora, entrepreneurs, and pretty much anyone who is like-minded, so we can share ideas and try and grow together. The link to that is in the video description below, so go ahead and check it out. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.